The topic is more around the data and how we see the data. I actually had a chat with ChatGPT around the cybersecurity risks and threats. I've been lately I've been doing this quite a bit, and I like my conversations with the AI. I don't agree with everything, but there are some good thoughts and topics, and it gets better and better when we get more data in. It tends to forget some of the most urgent topics around, especially around the cybersecurity, but it takes quite a good comprehensive look on the potential risks. I asked about 7 cybersecurity risks. There were 6, but it gave me 7. So I combined 2 of those. And that's also one of the flaws in the AI. It might not answer the exact question that you ask. Phishing, we'll talk about phishing also later in the presentation, but phishing is still the most used cyber attack vector because it's easy. We do that. But with the AI, and the more data the AI gets, and the more better the algorithms and the system gets, it can mimic the individuals or organizations. It can add and enhance the messages. It's partly also tied to deepfakes and the disinformation, but the attack styles are getting more complex. Then the enhanced, I'm getting pop-ups. Enhanced cyber attacks. These are more sophisticated. This is also relates to other ones on this list, but the AI can automate. It can make automated discovery also for the software-related systems, and it can use those vulnerabilities to exploit and execute large-scale attacks. Of course, it can do also targeted attacks, but especially building large-scale attacks is getting more easier. And I mean, tools are already available. You can utilize AI to build these attacks already now. Manipulation of AI systems. True. You can change the data. You can poison it. You can attack that AI model. And through that, you can also affect the decisions. This is related to next one, which is the AI system vulnerabilities. So AI systems themselves can also have potential flaws built in. So some time ago, I had a discussion with one of the US counterparts related to AI systems and decision making. And back then, the topic was AI systems in defense, partly what Petri also mentioned earlier. And in that field, especially the transparency to decision making is critical. So whenever they make decisions in the defense systems for some, not necessarily attacks, but defense measures, then the transparency is critical. You need to be able to find the actual point when decision was made. And if possible to interfere with this kind of process, then it becomes critical. Evasion of detection systems. Petri also partly discussed about this one. We can, and we already now have different technical methods for utilizing machine learning or even AI in defense systems, in the IT infrastructure. And it's possible to build AI systems that can find the flaws and design malware accordingly. It's getting easier and easier. And then the main topic also for this presentation is deepfakes and disinformation. We are not going to talk that much about disinformation and the information operations, but we'll focus on deepfakes and social engineering part. I tend to tie these the 2 things together. The AI and deepfakes, audio, images, videos, those are becoming more and more difficult to notice, difficult to react. And with the internet, with the social media platforms, And with the pace of the news and pace of the world we have now, it's getting critical. And as said, the phishing and also social engineering, those are the main attack vectors for cyber attacks. So these were generated by the AI. This is from the Capgemini Research Institute report. We had a survey, global survey of 1,000 companies about the generative AI. So this is specific field of AI. The Gen AI is becoming more and more prominent business technology as well. It's huge business already, and it's going to grow even bigger. And there are bunch of different potential, bunch of different opportunities around the AI, also in Gen AI. But there are also some risks. And this is taken from the research, the survey. Some of these risks are related to data, for example, inherited risk. And there was a question in previous presentation about how to collect the data. One of the challenges when we built the technical systems for the machine learning for existing environment is also the inherited risk, because it might be difficult to spot if someone is already in when you create the baseline for the machine learning part. But same goes with the pre-trained data models. The data sets, if you can't have access to the data sets, for example, in mergers and acquisitions, or when you use third-party solutions for your Gen AI, it might be difficult to react when something perhaps may go wrong in an output. As I said, I asked about 6 different examples from chat GPT, and it gave me 7. So even in that sense, the outcome might be something that you need to still think about. One of the main rivals of us, the Boston Consulting Group, made an interesting experiment quite recently about using the Gen AI in consulting work. And they did this together with Harvard Business School and few other research institutes. And they had a huge portion of their consultants participating to this experiment. Results were quite promising. When consultants were using Gen AI to produce their daily tasks, they tend to get more productive. But at the same time, you need to be really careful what is the outcome, like the correctness of the reports or the data that you are using. Like in this case, and this is from the research we did, it can create hallucinations or false or fake information unintentionally. And we may take that as a truth. There are consequences on those, and potentially you can also have intellectual property rights violations. A couple of years ago, maybe a year ago, there was an incident from, if I remember correctly, Samsung, when they were using the AI, and some of the IPR unintentionally went out, partly related to data leakage also. 51% of responders were having concerns about the data quality and data that being used in the AI systems. So 51% of responders in this survey. The deepfakes and partly the information operations. As said, the social media platforms and the internet is becoming more and more difficult to predict. The information we see is something that, well, we use the same model as we use in physical domain. People tend to trust people, and people tend to trust the same things as we see in our daily life. But in the internet, things are a bit different, and it's becoming more and more difficult to spot this. We have more processing power, we have better algorithms, we have more information for the algorithms. And for example, the Zoom example here, these are just copy pasted from different places from the internet. I can't really verify all the sources, but that's typical for the information used. Those images of faces, that's from the website called This Person Does Not Exist. I tend to use those in many of my presentations because you can generate different type of faces. Some are easy to spot that those are fake, but some not. And when you can do the same for the videos and voice, it's becoming more difficult. If you can have filters in your Teams or Zoom meetings, then it's well, especially the social engineering part becomes easier for the attacker. You can run these 24/7. And if thinking about latest development, for example, around TikTok and the algorithms that it has, people are also using those for news. So when they are searching for information, they rely on social media. There was an survey or actually report from the Russia's invasion to Ukraine and how it has changed throughout the years. So 2014, when Russia made the attack to Crimea, 5 or less than 10% of Ukrainians had 3G or mobile connectivity. So they were relying on traditional media for news. Whereas in Russia, also the social media was involved. But now, because Russia has basically taken the control of the traditional media, so they are in Russia relying on traditional media, whereas in Ukraine now they have access to the internet, and they are using more the social media, more on the internet-based news. And the platforms are not really taking into considerations of these deepfakes, like in the X or X Twitter. And when we build these trust models we have, and we use those social media to make the decisions or find the news, then I mean it's becoming a reality. We use the disinformation and make that as misinformation. Staying in the deepfakes, these are from different sources, and no need to pay too much attention about the actual figures. The figures are anyway high, and internet, I like that because you can get any figures you want for any single topic. But the deepfakes are in the rise, and that's partly because of the computing power we have, the tools we have, the availability of different tools you can use. But 66% of professionals have experienced deepfake attacks already in different organizations. There are estimates of 500,000 deepfake videos to be shared in social media globally. These are estimates. There are some results on the surveys available, and this has been doubling. It actually grew more than 900% between 2019 and 2020. But expert-made deepfake videos are doubling every 6 months. This is something I don't know how to react, but 90% of online content may be synthetically generated by 26. Is it 90% or 80% or 70%? It doesn't really matter because it's going to be huge anyway. But the most alarming one is the last one. The survey had 16,000 participants in 8 different countries in 2022. And 57% of the respondents say that they could spot the deepfake. At the same time, in the same survey, 71% admit that they don't know what deepfake is. But still, they think that they can spot the difference. Respondents from Mexico thought that 82% of them think that they can spot the deepfake. The reality is a bit different. We can't really spot the deepfake. I tend to fall in those, and I'm considering me as somewhat expert on this area. It also, well, that leads in the social engineering part. This is also from ChatGPT. It relies on the psychological profiles we have. And there's a lot of research also from this area and examples how different type of influencing can be used when building trust towards the counterpart. So sometimes we refer to advertising. Advertising is not really same thing. Advertising uses the same principles, but in sales situation, for example, you know that you are being influenced. In information operations and social engineering, you don't. And usually the target is to get monetary benefits out of that, or information, IPR, or just get into the system and make some harm. But it's about gaining access to somewhere. Once again, facts and figures. Facts are debatable, but these are from the reports from different sources. 98, and there's a variation of this. Is it 98 or 80 something? But in any case, it's the majority of cyber attacks are relying on social engineering at some part of the chain. It's easy. You can build different type of systems. You can, phishing is one, but there are also others. And typically it's a combination of many things. But 90% of data breaches targeted the human factor. It's not necessarily because humans are the weakest link of the chain. We behave how we behave. I also claim that we try to push the responsibility of the cybersecurity technical solutions. We rely on those technological things. And we also think that this is someone else's responsibility. We don't necessarily understand the whole topic well enough that we can react. And then when going out and seeing the whole field of users and the companies and the domains, we have wide variety of users. We have a variety of different domains. The supply chains are extremely difficult to handle, to control, even though regulations are trying to solve that in some areas. But the complexity of the environment for all the companies is becoming more difficult to handle. And even though you try to build the awareness and the technical solutions inside your domain, like the machine learning algorithms for your network or endpoints or user IDs, you still have your supply chain. You still have many domains who can't really build everything. So technical solutions have certain cost, and you need to be able to find the golden midway, so to speak. I'm an engineer, so I would like to have all the technical solutions in place in every single environment. But still, you need to understand your environment. You still need to educate the people, and you need to build some form of awareness program to educate more and to keep in touch how it goes. The 4.5 million, that comes from the IBM report. They've been doing this for quite some time, 17 years maybe even more. And the average cost of the data breach with social engineering as initial attack vector, that's the 4.5 million USD. It includes many things, not just the immediate cost of stealing money or something, but it also involves your reputational damages. And then there are quite many examples in real life for this one. FBI also makes interesting reports on on the data breaches that happened already. So companies or individuals also, but many companies in the US can report the damages they have. If there's a data breach, they can report that, and there's a database for those, and FBI makes a report. In previously report, one of the main attack vectors was business email compromise. Business email compromise can be also many things, but it typically also involves the social engineering aspect. The total sum of data breaches of lost money was 10 point something billion, and out of that 2.7 billion was from business email compromise. And those are the reported numbers. So the actual figures are much higher than those because people are not necessarily reporting these for many reasons. Might be that they are ashamed that they got fooled. As said in the previous slides, people think that they can spot, for example, deepfakes. They also think that they can spot social engineering. They are really good in those. And the higher up you go in the organization, and this is sadly fact, but less they care about the processes. So also, and they are really targeted on those attacks because they can make decisions and they can handle the money. So amount of possession of those posts comes from the so-called CEO attacks. How we can tackle these? I already did mention that I don't believe that technical solutions can fix everything. We really need to pay more attention to what's happening on the social side. The TikTok example I mentioned earlier, TikTok was used quite heavily, especially during the first stages of the invasion in Ukraine. It's been used in different crises globally, but it's also been used for different type of news. And that's just one example. As mentioned, the algorithms are getting more and more advanced. One example that quite recently came up also in the US, and that's regarding the algorithms, how they make decisions. There's a lawsuit towards the health insurance company. And the claim says that they have a machine learning algorithm behind making these decisions of the insurance. And the claim says that 90% of those decisions are incorrect. So the algorithm that the insurance company is using denies those insurance claims in 90% of the cases. We'll see how it will form up, but that's in the court now. Just one example how AI can also affect in everyday life in different situations when those are being deployed. Once again, huge opportunities, but we also need to take into account how those are being used, what is the transparency, and how the data sets are being built. We are roughly 25 minutes my presentation, and that was the last slide. So thank you.